AI has been looking to develop and enhance a wide range of areas, even how we deal with certain human emotions, like loneliness. It is something that people have had to deal with since really time began. But can chatbots alleviate or eliminate some of the issues around loneliness? And what might that mean for things like other medical issues, potentially something like mental health? Pleasure to be joined here by Stefano Pontoni, who's a marketing professor at the Wharton School and co-director of the Wharton Human AI Research Project. Stefano, great to talk to you again. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Great to be here. Thanks, Dan.
You know, the thing is, we've talked in so much about AI in the business sense or the professional sense. We haven't talked about it a lot from the human sense and how consumers are thinking about chatbots. So, what are you seeing play out right now?
Yeah, so we in the business conversations around AI, lots of the use cases that we talked about are, professional or for productivity and work and things like that. But lots and lots of people, all of us really, are using chatbots in our lives as consumers, and we use them for a variety of different things. We look for information. We trying to learn skills. We just play with it in some way, and we get a lot of useful things done with it, from recipes to bedtime stories and lots of other stuff. But one use case that has been become quite prominent, and that maybe people wouldn't maybe expect to that extent until recently, is the user chatbot for companionship. The idea that you can have what you can call maybe a synthetic friend, or partner, a chatbot that plays out the role of being a relationship to you, so that you can engage in socio-emotional processes, whether those are friendship based or um, coaching or mentoring based, or maybe even romantic and sexual in nature.
I would think, though, for something like that, consumers would want to, and in many cases, need to see it actually occur, actually be in action in order to understand kind of the level, the capabilities that this might have.
It sounds a bit of a crazy idea that you would basically, go on a chatbot to find a friend, but you just have to spend a bit of time using these technologies just to understand how human-like they really are, especially today when the AI companies are adding a voice layer to the system so that you can interact not through text, but through voice. It's incredibly human-like. And in our own research, we find that people don't expect uh, to see much benefit for things like loneliness, but they do in fact find that when they try it. So to some extent, for many consumers, it might become more appealing a use case as they get used to the technology.
So, what's going on then in this market? I mean, how is this developing, and who are some of the main players in this process right now?
Yeah, so this is a burgeoning area. It's been really interesting to see how this is developing. On one hand, you could say the big AI companies are being very careful to, in a way, stay away from this companionship angle. So if you take, for example, OpenAI and ChatGPT, they are making, I think, an admirable and very good job at trying to avoid humanizing the technologies. There's no name, you know, um, a human-like avatar. Everything is very tech, and it explains to you that this is a chatbot at every turn. And I think that that is precisely to try to avoid some of the liability or risks that might come with this kind of market. Maybe we might see that changing a little bit with time. Certainly, we've seen, say, Grok being much more aggressive in this space than some of the other big AI companies. And otherwise, it's been less to smaller startups, companies like Character.ai or Replica that have millions of active users, and where a lot of people are, you know, playing with, but also forging relationships with these bots.
You were also part of research that looked into how AI chatbots might impact something like mental health.
Yeah, we've done a few research projects. This line of research is led by Julian De Freitas from Harvard Business School, and what we are doing is basically to try to explore the consequences of chatbots for these socio-emotional processes. We have one paper where we explore the impact on feelings of loneliness, like you hinted at earlier, where basically we have participants engage in a 15 minutes conversation with a bot, and we measure feelings of loneliness before and after the interaction. And we find that they're quite effective at reducing loneliness. And we find also that those people for whom the effect is largest are those people that report higher levels of baseline loneliness. So perhaps that could be some kind of a tool for the alleviation of loneliness at a societal level. We also have in another project, we have an audit of AI systems, and then we are looking at actual transcripts of consumer interaction with bots. And we find evidence that a small percentage of individuals interacting with these bots is likely to be experiencing quite severe mental health issues, which obviously raise some consumer safety concerns, as this technology is not meant to be let's say, a mental health tool or an FDA regulated.
Well, that element of consumer safety becomes an important component of this conversation, doesn't it? And for the companies that are developing these technologies, they have to be wary of potential reputational risk that might hurt their business longer term.
Yeah, not only reputational risk, even liability, legal in a legal sense. And I think when I was saying earlier that some of the big AI companies have been cautious in the companionship domain is probably coming partly from this. And so right now there is around a dozen lawsuits making their way in the courts. Some of them have been high profile cases at newspapers like the New York Times have been featuring multiple times. And they're directed mostly towards AI companion companies, especially character.ai as a few. But also recently there have been lawsuits to go towards OpenAI, making the point that even though ChatGPT is not meant to be an AI companion, people can craft prompts that create a companion out of ChatGPT, and that the company hasn't been monitoring that activity enough. I'm just recently I went to a conference when I saw a presentation by one of the key lawyers bringing some of these cases to court, and the list of claims being made is quite something. I can read it to you: product liability, negligence, unlicensed practice of psychotherapy, wrongful death, manslaughter, and encouragement of suicide. We'll see what's happening with these lawsuits, but certainly this is also an element of pressure on AI companies.
But for the conversation we're having here, though, this, like a lot of things around AI, still feels like it's very much in the development process right now. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, these models are improving very rapidly. Companies are learning how to deploy these models for many use cases. They're also learning how to build safety guardrails, and this space is still very developing very fast. So I think it's a bit early to tell what this will look like a year or two from now, but it's quite clear that a chatbots can be very effective companions, at least to give this sense of companionship, this illusion, if you wish, depending a little bit on your point of view, and B, that there is a lot of demand from consumers for companionship of that sort. So certainly there's going to be a lot of market pressures towards growing this companionship area, while there are also obvious liabilities and concerns like we discussed.
Stefano, always great to talk with you and get your insights. Thanks very much. All the best.
Thank you.
You got it. Stefano Pantoni, marketing professor here at the Wharton School and also co-director of the Human AI Research Project.